The first time Evelyn Sterling realized she might die, she wasn't afraid. She was angry. Angry that she was sitting in the back of a black armored SUV worth more than most people's homes, escorted by 2 security vehicles. Yet her heart was pounding like prey being hunted. Angry that despite her billions, her influence, her last name, she still wasn't safe. And angry that the man seated beside her, the newly hired bodyguard she hadn't even wanted, was the only one who noticed the danger before it struck. "Miss Sterling," he said calmly, his voice low but firm. "Brace yourself." Evelyn barely had time to turn before the world exploded into motion. Tires screeched. The SUV swerved violently. A flash of headlights cut across her window, followed by the deafening sound of metal colliding with metal. Evelyn screamed as her body slammed against the seatbelt, her breath knocked clean out of her lungs. And through it all, the man beside her didn't raise his voice. "Head down. Hands over your neck. Do exactly as I say." Strong hands pressed her gently but decisively toward the floor. His body shielded hers as glass shattered somewhere behind them. The smell of burnt rubber filled the air. Evelyn's mind screamed money, lawyers, headlines, but her body obeyed him without question. Seconds later, it was over. The SUV skidded to a stop. Silence followed, thick, unsettling silence. Evelyn lifted her head slowly, her chest heaving. Her heart hammered so loudly she was sure everyone could hear it. "Are you hurt?" the man asked. She shook her head, still stunned. "No." Only then did she look at him. Caleb Ward. That was his name, she remembered. She hadn't bothered learning much else. He wasn't supposed to matter. Just another professional hired by her board. Another stranger paid to hover around her life. But now, his jaw was tight, eyes scanning the surroundings with lethal focus, one hand already on the concealed weapon at his side. "Stay here," he said. "I'll handle this." Handle this. As if her world hadn't just tilted off its axis. Evelyn Sterling had been born into power. Her last name opened doors, silenced rooms, and moved markets. Sterling Industries wasn't just a corporation. It was a dynasty. Oil, tech, pharmaceuticals, real estate. Her father had built an empire. And when he died unexpectedly 5 years earlier, Evelyn inherited more than wealth. She inherited enemies. At 32, she was one of the youngest billionaire CEOs in the country. The media called her brilliant, ruthless, untouchable. None of them knew how lonely the penthouse felt at night. None of them saw the threats forwarded quietly to her legal team. The stalkers intercepted before they reached her doorstep. The constant reminder that her life wasn't entirely her own. That was why the board insisted on upgrading her security. That was why Caleb Ward was now standing in the rain outside the wrecked SUV, calmly giving orders into his earpiece like this was just another Tuesday. Evelyn watched him through the cracked window. He wasn't flashy. No disainer-sut. No unnecessary words. He moved with controlled precision, like someone trained to expect the worst and survive it. His face bore faint scars, not dramatic, but noticeable if you looked closely. The kind of scars earned, not shown off. He turned back toward her. "Miss Sterling," he said, opening the door. "We need to transfer you to the backup vehicle." She hesitated. Was that an accident? Caleb met her gaze without flinching. "No." One word. Calm. Certain. Her stomach tightened. "Someone tried to run us off the road," she said. "Yes. Do you know who?" "Not yet." The honesty startled her more than a lie would have. As she stepped out of the SUV, the cold air hit her skin, grounding her. Cameras were already being kept at bay by her security team. The story would be controlled. It always was. But something had changed. She glanced at Caleb again. "You knew," she said quietly. "Before it happened." "I noticed the pattern," he replied. "The vehicle behind us was too consistent. That's usually a sign." "Usually?" she echoed. He paused. "Usually means someone's testing your defenses." Evelyn swallowed. The next morning, the boardroom buzzed with tension. Executives argued. Lawyers advised silence. Public relations teams spun narratives about a minor traffic incident. Evelyn sat at the head of the table, composed, detached. Every inch the billionaire heiress they expected. Inside, she was still hearing screeching tires. "We are increasing security immediately," her assistant Marissa Cole said firmly. "No more negotiations." Evelyn nodded. "Fine." Her eyes drifted to the far wall, where Caleb stood quietly, arms crossed, observing everything. He didn't speak unless spoken to. She hated that she noticed. After the meeting, as the room cleared, Evelyn lingered. "Mr. Ward," she said. He turned. "Yes, ma'am? Walk with me." They moved down the long corridor overlooking the city skyline. Sunlight poured through the glass, reflecting off steel and ambition. "How long have you been doing this?" she asked. "Protective work?" he replied. 10 years. "Military?" "Yes." She studied him. "Why this job?" He didn't answer immediately. "Because I'm good at it," he said finally. It wasn't arrogance, just fact. She stopped walking. "I don't like being followed in my own home." "I understand," he said, "but I need to trust you." "You don't have to trust me," he replied. "You just have to listen when it matters." Her lips pressed together. "That sounds like trust." For the first time, something like a smile touched his mouth, gone almost as soon as it appeared. "Then we'll take it one day at a time." That night, Evelyn stood alone in her penthouse, staring out at the city lights. Caleb stood near the entrance, unobtrusive but present. "Do you ever turn it off?" she asked suddenly. "Turn what off?" "The vigilance, the distance." He considered the question. "No." "Why?" "Because the moment you relax," he said, "is usually when something goes wrong." She nodded slowly. Silence stretched between them, not awkward, but heavy with unspoken things. "Caleb," she said quietly. "Yes. Thank you. For today." "You're welcome." She should have stopped there. But instead, she said, "If something happens to me, will you tell me the truth?" His gaze met hers, steady and unyielding. "Yes." In that moment, Evelyn felt something shift. Not love, not yet, but trust. And she didn't know then that it would cost her everything. If you're enjoying this story so far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support means more than you know. Evelyn Sterling didn't sleep that night. She lay in the middle of her massive bed, surrounded by silk sheets and city lights, staring at the ceiling as her mind replayed the same moment over and over again. Caleb's voice, calm, certain. Yes, one word, one promise. Outside her bedroom door, she knew he was there. Not inside, never crossing that line, but close enough that if she called out, he would hear her. That knowledge settled something inside her she hadn't felt in years. Safety. The next morning began differently. Evelyn noticed it the moment she stepped into the kitchen. Her coffee was already prepared, exactly the way she liked it. No sugar. A splash of oat milk. Hot, not scalding. She paused. "I didn't ask for this," she said. Caleb stood near the counter, scanning the room as usual. "Your assistant mentioned it yesterday. Marissa, the traitor." Evelyn took a sip despite herself. "Perfect. Don't make a habit of learning my preferences," she said lightly. "Too late," he replied, not looking at her. "It's part of the job." She watched him for a moment longer than necessary. Days passed and routine set in. Caleb accompanied her everywhere. Meetings, events, late-night drives through the city. At first, Evelyn bristled under his constant presence. But slowly, something unexpected happened. She started talking. It began with small things. Complaints about board members, frustration over media scrutiny, casual observations about the city. Caleb listened. He didn't interrupt, didn't judge, didn't offer solutions unless asked. It was infuriating and comforting. One evening, after a particularly brutal board meeting, Evelyn collapsed into the back seat of the SUV, kicking off her heels. "They don't trust me," she said bitterly. "They wouldn't be there if they didn't," Caleb replied. "They trust the money," she snapped. "Not me." Silence followed. Then, That's their loss. She blinked, surprised. You really think that? Yes. She studied him. You say very little, Mr. Ward. People reveal more when you let them fill the silence. She huffed a laugh. Is that another tactic? No, he said. Just experience. The first real crack in his armor came 2 weeks later. It was raining, soft but steady. When they returned to the penthouse late one night, Evelyn was halfway out of the elevator when she noticed him tense. What is it? She asked. Stay here. He moved swiftly, checking the corridor before signaling her forward. False alarm? She asked. Maybe, but his jaw was tight. Inside the penthouse, Evelyn poured herself a drink, then hesitated and poured a second. She held one out to him. Off duty. For 5 minutes. Caleb stared at the glass like it was a loaded weapon. I don't drink while working. You're still working, she said. This doesn't change that. A long pause. Finally, he took it. They stood by the window, city lights reflecting off the glass. You ever get tired? She asked. Yes. What keeps you going? He took a sip, smaller than hers. Habit, he said. Then, after a moment, guilt. Her breath caught. You don't have to. I lost someone, he said quietly. She didn't speak. On a job, he continued. I made a call. It was the wrong one. Evelyn felt the weight of his words settle between them. I'm sorry, she said. He nodded once. So am I. That was all he said. But it was enough. The shift was subtle but undeniable. Caleb began anticipating her moods. Evelyn began noticing the way his eyes softened when he thought she wasn't looking. Their conversations grew longer, deeper, and the rules became harder to remember. It was Marissa who noticed first. This is dangerous, her assistant said one afternoon, lowering her voice. You're getting attached. Evelyn didn't deny it. He's my bodyguard, Marissa pressed. Not your equal in the eyes of the world. I don't care about the world, Evelyn replied. That's what scares me. The warning came too late. The next threat wasn't subtle. A note arrived at Sterling Industries addressed directly to Evelyn. We know who protects you, and we know how to reach him. Evelyn's blood ran cold. Caleb read it without reaction, then folded it neatly. This changes things, she said. Yes, you're in danger now because of me. I was always in danger, he replied. That night, security doubled. Routes changed. Precautions tightened. And still, the distance between them vanished. When Evelyn woke from a nightmare at 3 in the morning, she didn't think. She acted. She opened her door. Caleb was there instantly. Are you okay? He asked. She nodded, but tears blurred her vision. I don't want to be alone, she whispered. Every rule screamed at him to step back. He didn't. He stayed. Not touching, not crossing, just present. And that was when Evelyn knew this wasn't infatuation. This was something far more dangerous. The breaking point came at the gala, Sterling Industries' annual charity event. Cameras, power players, appearances to maintain. Evelyn descended the staircase in a silver gown, every inch the untouchable heiress. Caleb stood at the base, eyes scanning, jaw tight. As she reached him, her hand brushed his. Electric. They both froze. No one noticed, but they did. Later that night, as applause filled the ballroom, Caleb leaned close. We need to talk, he said. Her heart raced. Now? Yes. They slipped onto the balcony, city air cool against their skin. This can't continue, he said. Because of the rules? Because of the consequences. She stepped closer. I'm not afraid. I am, he said quietly. For you. And what about what I want? That's the problem. Silence stretched. Then Evelyn did the unthinkable. She reached for him, not his hand, his heart. Caleb, she said softly, I trust you with my life. Why not my heart? His breath hitched. For one terrible, perfect moment, he almost kissed her. Then he stepped back. I can't, he said. The words cut deeper than any threat ever had. Caleb requested reassignment the next morning. Evelyn found out from Marissa. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She simply said, "Bring him to me." When he stood before her, composed as ever, she realized something terrifying. Losing him would hurt more than dying ever could. Before we go on, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Now, this is where everything changes. Evelyn Sterling stood alone in her office long after Caleb Ward walked out. The door clicked shut softly behind him, but the sound echoed in her chest like a gunshot. Reassignment. That was the word he'd used. Clean, professional, cold. She stared at the city beyond the glass walls. The same skyline she'd conquered boardroom by boardroom. For the first time since inheriting Sterling Industries, she felt powerless. Not because of threats, not because of enemies, but because the one man she trusted most was walking away. Caleb packed that night, not because he was ordered to leave, but because staying would destroy him. He folded his clothes with military precision, ignoring the ache spreading through his ribs like a slow fire. He had protected heads of state, corporate titans, families worth trillions combined. None of them had looked at him the way Evelyn did. None of them had made him forget who he was supposed to be. His phone buzzed once. Secure alert. Then again. By the third vibration, instinct kicked in. He checked it. Evelyn Sterling in danger. The message was brief. Too brief. Caleb didn't think. He moved. Evelyn sensed something was wrong the moment the elevator stopped between floors. The lights flickered. Her stomach tightened. "Hello?" she called. No response. Then the emergency lights cut out. Darkness swallowed the space. Her heart slammed against her ribs. This wasn't coincidence. This was planned. The doors forced open with a metallic shriek, and hands grabbed her from behind. She fought, harder than anyone expected, but panic stole her breath. A voice hissed near her ear. "You should have listened." She never saw the strike coming. Caleb arrived at the building in record time. Security was compromised. 2 guards down. He didn't wait for backup. He took the stairs 3 at a time, weapon drawn, mind razor sharp. Guilt, fear, love. He crushed them all into focus. They had crossed the one line no one ever should. They had touched her. The sound of Evelyn's voice, muffled, terrified, cut through the corridor. Caleb moved like a storm. The confrontation was fast, brutal, silent. When it was over, Evelyn was on the floor, shaking, her hands scraped, her eyes wild. She looked up and broke. "Caleb," she sobbed. He dropped beside her instantly, checking her injuries, his hands steady despite the war raging inside him. "I'm here," he said. "I've got you." She clutched his jacket like it was the only solid thing left in the world. "They said they'd hurt you," she whispered. "I thought." "I know," he said softly. And that was the moment the wall finally fell. The aftermath was chaos. Police, executives, press. Victor Holloway was exposed within hours, his obsession with controlling Sterling Industries unraveling into desperation. Arrests followed, charges stacked. His empire collapsed overnight, but none of it mattered to Evelyn. She sat in a hospital room, staring at the door, waiting. When Caleb finally stepped inside, bruised but standing, she didn't hesitate. "You don't get to leave," she said. He closed the door behind him. "Evelyn, you saved my life," she interrupted. "Again, and I'm done pretending this is just business." He took a breath. "I crossed lines I can't uncross." "So did I," she said. "And I'd do it again." Silence stretched between them. Then Caleb spoke the truth he'd buried for months. "I love you." The words were quiet, devastating, freeing. Tears slid down Evelyn's cheeks. "I was hoping you'd say that." He laughed softly, disbelief in his eyes. "This isn't a fairy tale." "No," she agreed. "It's better, because it's real." The fallout was swift. Headlines exploded. Billionaire heiress in relationship with former bodyguard. Board members protested. Investors panicked. Advisors warned her to choose carefully. Evelyn listened. Then she stood before them all. "I will not apologize for loving a man who protected me when money couldn't," she said calmly. "If that makes me unfit to lead, then you never trusted me to begin with." Silence followed. Then slowly, applause. Caleb resigned officially the next day. Not in defeat, but in choice. Months later, the penthouse felt different. Lighter. Caleb no longer stood at the door. He stood beside her. They moved carefully, learning each other outside the shadows of danger. Some days were hard. Some nights were quiet. All of it was honest. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the city, Evelyn rested her head against his shoulder. "You know," she said, "the world thinks you stole my heart." Caleb smiled. "Did I?" She looked up at him. "No. I gave it to you." He kissed her then. Not like a bodyguard, not like a protector, but like a man who finally allowed himself to be loved. If this story moved you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes love can come from the most unexpected places.